The other day, my son was in the front of the house. We have this play set and his truck was jammed in a little crevice.
Yeah.
And he tries to pull it out and he looks at me. He's like, I can't do it, Daddy. And I was like, here's my golden parenting moment. So I go to him and I'm like, Nova, we don't say I can't. That's not something we say.
Yeah.
What we say is, I'm learning how to do it.
Dude, I love
I'm
it.
learning how to do it. Can you try? Okay, give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. And eventually he got it. I might have touched the truck for him a little bit, but I let him go through this micro adversity of getting his truck unstuck.
Yeah.
And I think that when a helping hand from a parent becomes harmful is when we rob our child of a lesson that's hard.
Yes.
And then that extrapolates into being in a very soft generation where there's no more analog conversations in person out of fear of getting hurt.
Yeah.
And then all of our conversations happen on a cell phone, through text, or on Snapchat.
Yeah.
How do you think that your story of hardship and being with the isness, being with the challenge, and even being with your own demon, is there a way you can take parts or maybe the whole story and feed it and disseminate it to the younger generation? Have you thought about that?
I have, to your point, because I love when I speak in front of colleges or schools, if you can implant seeds in the younger generation before they get trapped in patterns that they have to then unlearn decades later, that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yes.
So to do that, and I love what you said with your kid, and I see this a lot as an Indian parents, especially if you are in a higher socioeconomic status, are notoriously known for overspoiling the hell out of their kids. And I've seen this with a lot of people where the kids now, they've been overspoiled, they grow up with zero resilience. Anything that happens in life, they break. And I've even had friends who ran a gym where they would work with, the parents would constantly tell these friends of mine to shield their kids from any hard feelings. So, they shouldn't feel like the pain of loss.
This is the
so
worst
I'm not going to take this
advice.
the worst advice.
Yeah.
So I love what you shared with what you did with your kid. Let them go through that. Let them experience the range of emotions that is part of the human experience. If you don't, they're going to experience it anyway. Mm-hmm. Life's going to hit us. And if you don't know how to navigate that, you're going to break when it does. So what you said about can't and learning through micro adversity. Let them feel the pain of loss. Let them feel the hardship and recognize this is not bad. And parents sometimes almost always out of love will say, don't be scared, don't worry, don't feel fear, don't stress. All you're saying is don't feel what you feel.
That's right.
That's coming back to resistance. Hey, you're feeling scared. Tell me more about it. What's going on? Let them feel it fully. Let them, and when you don't, this is what happens. Like I was on a podcast once, and this woman called in who was going through PTSD from the Boston bombing. And so we started chatting a little bit here and there. And I said, all right, the next time you feel that hypervigilance rise up when a loud noise hits, I just want you to pause and sit with it. Just be with it. And she goes, yeah, but that's really hard. I know it's hard, but the only way out is through. This is the core teaching, I think, is whatever hardship, the only way out is through. You want to get on the other side of that hypervigilance of PTSD? Pause and be with it. And is that going to suck? Yes. But the more you embrace that, coming back to what you shared about stress inoculation, I think you used a different word, but same thing of the elevator, right?
Yeah.
Sit with it. Do it in small degrees.
The systematic desensitization that Jordan Peterson is known for.
When you do that, you that's how you move through it. You're struggling with your demons. That's what I could run away from it, which is what I was doing with drinking. Instead, I started sitting with it. The only way out is through. Let me confront it. Let me be with it. And that's hard. But I have one kid who was so inspired by what I did, he locked himself in a closet for a few hours to his mini dark room. And I was like, dude, that's badass.
That's the
kid inspired me,
Yeah.
He's a friend's son, and now he's become a friend as well. He just locked himself in the closet and just sat still with his thoughts in darkness. What an amazing experience to go do that. And that's harder than, sometimes we're looking for the tangible, what can I specifically do rather than just be with it? But be with it is often the answer.
Yeah.
It's the answer, and that's how you move through it.
Wow. I just got a through line of just something so simple yet so profound. This is why I love podcasting, man. So the same way that we can use specific language with our children is one and the same of the way we can use language to our inner child. And so if you look at, right now I'm really passionate and studying the IFS model from Schwartz, understanding our exiles, our protectors, the parts of ourselves that are locked away that we actually are in shame about or that we're in resistance to. And then another part of us that protects that person that may come out as projection or defensiveness or stonewalling.
Yeah.
And I love this because the exact same way that I'm training my children with my conscious language, It's the same thing I'm doing to myself if I go on a ketamine journey and look in a mirror. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yet we complicate this so much because I think we're in this, you want to talk about illusion or delusion. I think, like you said, delusion can be a great place.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But delusion can be really harmful if there's delusion without borders, without boundaries.
great way
And I
to
think
put it.
one of the biggest delusions that we're all dealing with is the power of language and how soft talk and soft language is just presented by society and parents and in schooling as okay.
Yeah.
When I hear the word I try or I should or I might or I maybe or I might try that, we've become so inoculated with this really virus of soft talk and of language that's so disempowering. Have you looked at your own language? In not just on the, I'm sure you looked at your own language on the journey, but in preparation for the journey, Michael Gervais was a guest that, thankfully you introduced me to, and he ended up coming on the show.
Awesome. Okay.
And we talked a lot about this. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah.
He operates at a really high level.
Yeah,
And
he's
like
amazing.
you had said, these pro athletes or even special forces, like everybody's got these internal voices,
Yeah.
these maybe dark geppettos that pop on the shoulder and start to implant this really self-deprecating, self-limiting language inside of our psyche.
Yeah.
But it's still us. What was the work you did from a language perspective? And how do you actually practice language now to be really empowering to yourself and in the future when you potentially have children?
Yeah. It started with just being very conscious of it until it became more habitual. But as you said, I'm a human being. So even in I was about to say in Iraq, in Antarctica, I make this mistake a lot. In Antarctica, there was this day, I can't remember what it was specifically, but I remember saying something like, I should have done this or I should do this. And my wife would say, stop shitting all over yourself.
Yeah.
Stop shitting all over yourself.
Love it.
When she supported me, I'm like, all right, that's a good point. So
Yep.
we're all fall prey to it, but that's the key, bringing it back to center. When you find yourself straying. So to this day, though, I use language very consciously to shape my reality. As you yourself said, that has huge power. And the words we use shape our experience of reality.
Yeah.
They help shape the illusion through which we experience reality.
I'm learning that it's actually our entire reality, the words that we say, because they're a projection of the thought patterns that we're experiencing, and then we use words to describe the way we're thinking. So I'm curious, how did that play out for you before?
I over time, I've built that relationship where that's why I said earlier when my wife would ask, how you doing? I'm good. And when you, it's not, and this is the key thing to also understand, is you're not denying the experience. You're just not giving it power by putting words to it. So let's say I'm on a long run and I'm hurting.
Yeah.
I'm still in pain, and I'm not denying that I'm in pain, but I'm not going to give that pain power by giving it a voice and starting to feel sorry for myself or anything like that. No, I'm good. I got this. This pain is why I'm here. I wanted this. This is the apex moment. Because that moment, even out there, I had one profoundly beautiful moment when I was in the depths of hell, and I said, this is why you're here. You didn't choose to do something easy. This moment of pure hardship is that apex moment. When you are, it was Vince Lombardi who put it beautifully. He said, I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. And I remember this day I was struggling, and I said, this is the apex moment. You are in hell now. What will you do? Who will you be? And you get to transcend. You get to rise. So the words that you use, and there's value in those moments to shed all words, because coming back to the point we said earlier, all words are conceptual thought. You cannot inherently experience the pure, unfiltered oneness without the paradigms that shape our experience of reality through words, through thoughts. You can only feel them fully in the isness of experience. That means through the body and shedding all that, right? But words just act as a doorway. So you have to be careful what words you use. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to find that door. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Whoa. If you enjoyed that one you just saw, you will love this one on the screen. Click it and enjoy.